Welcome and thank you for joining the channel. Please help this channel by liking and subscribing. We really appreciate it. There are no ads on this video. If you have any stories you would like me to share on this channel, comment below and your story will be featured in the video. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy these creepypastas accompanied by rain and thunder. I was inside the master bedroom when I heard the garage open and a car go in. I looked at my friend Victor as we realized the couple came home early. We hadn't expected that. "Put everything back," Victor whispered to me. We took all the watches, tablets, money, and anything we took back exactly as we found them. I heard the couple speaking downstairs but couldn't make anything out. After we put everything back, Victor told me to follow him. He pulled down the scuttled attic, trying to do as little noise as he could. When we got up, he closed it and we were inside the attic. It had a few small windows and brought in sunlight, and the attic was empty except for a few boxes. We stood there for a minute, waiting to see if we could hear them. We didn't really hear anything, but we didn't hear them leave either. The attic was hot, and it didn't help we were wearing warm clothes, gloves, and baseball caps. "Let's try to leave," Victor whispered. We go down the attic and tiptoed away. Victor opened the door quietly and quickly, shut it quietly. "The man is here," Victor said. I asked, "What is he doing?" "He's going into the child's room." When I first entered the kids' room a few minutes before the couple arrived, I was shocked. Through spying on them for the past week to know their routine, I never saw their daughter. At least I assume the child is a daughter based on the decoration of the room. "Did you see their kid at all?" I asked. Victor shook his head. "Maybe she's in boarding school or camp. Something." Victor made it a guess. We heard the man walk downstairs as we heard a female, his wife, I assumed. "Everything is ready." We heard 2 pairs of footsteps walk into the basement. Me and Victor assumed everything was fine and tiptoed downstairs. Victor tried to open the door, but it was locked. When we tried to find another exit, we heard and saw down the basement and a violent scream. It sounded like a man was getting cut. Me and Victor froze. The screaming didn't stop. The muffled screaming kept going. Me and Victor walked to a window to try and open it. When I tried to open it, I couldn't. Victor whispered, "Leave it to me." When he tried, he couldn't either. We noticed a small iron mechanism on the window, a window latch. We went from the window to another as the screaming continued. Suddenly, Victor accidentally hit a small table. It lifted a little before crashing down, making a large thud. The saw stopped. We froze in place, but then we heard 2 pairs of footsteps coming upstairs. Victor told me to follow him, and I did. We got to the kitchen and hid inside the pantry. We heard the basement door open. The man said, "Is someone out there? I'll call the police." I didn't know whether or not he'll do it considering what we heard from the basement. Suddenly, the woman's voice said, "Did more of them follow us?" A worry in her voice. The man said, "No one's coming. Let's go check." There me and Victor were, hiding again. We didn't plan on hurting anyone, just a few stolen items, but now violence might be unavoidable. After a few minutes, Victor opened the pantry. Me and him peeked outside and saw the wife, her hands covered in blood, and she was washing them. Me and Victor got worried. We were in a house with serial killers. A guy with a tank top and underwear only came into the room. He was covered in blood and missing his hands. When the woman noticed him, she screamed. The man, completely oblivious, asked her for help. She took out a big knife and started stabbing him repeatedly until he died. The husband ran into the room. He comforted her and she asked, "How'd he escape?" The man said, "I don't know. I'll check if the other escaped." As he left, me and Victor knew we had to escape. Who knows what they'd do if they caught us. Victor took a large can of beans and told me to follow his lead. We went outside the pantry and went next to the woman. When she noticed us, she was about to scream when Victor hit her in the head. Her skin split open. A few seconds later, she was about to scream again when Victor hit her again, and again, and again, until she died, blood covering half of her face. Me and Victor ran to escape, not caring about being quiet anymore. When we got to the garage door, it was locked. "Damn it," said Victor. We ran into the dining room. Victor told me break the window. I took a chair and started hitting the window. It broke and I thought it was all over. Until I heard the man's footsteps running to the basement. Victor whispered, "I'll get him, just stay there." As he hid behind the door, the man came with a machete. He lunged at me, but Victor reacted quickly and hit him in the back of his head. He fell on the broken pieces of glass from the window. When he pulled himself up, he collapsed almost instantly. He was dead. Victor said, "Let's go and get the guy downstairs," and I nodded. We ran into the basement and saw sheeted hospital curtains and hospital beds. On one of them had a lot of blood and built-in restraints. I guess the main earlier managed to squeeze through. We saw 2 large dog cages. One was empty while the other had the other man. He had long, strained hair and an average body build. He had his mouth covered in silver duct tape and his hands were also taped together. He looked at us with fearful, pleading eyes. "We're here to rescue you," I said. I noticed the lock on the cage. The man pointed at his pocket and upstairs. Victor ran upstairs and came down with keys. Apparently, they were in the husband's pocket. When we freed him and cut all the duct tape with scissors, Victor said, "If you call the police, we were never here, okay?" The man thought for a moment. He would have to take the blame for 2 kills, but it was self-defense, right? The man said, "I think it's for the best if I just leave." Me and Victor nodded. When we went back to the upstairs and the keys could open the door, when we left, the man thanked us and ran while me and Victor took our car that was a couple blocks away and drove home. We turned on the news, but we knew it would be a while before anyone found them. Suddenly, the newsman said, "Today marks the 1-year anniversary of Luna's kidnapping." They show us a picture of a young girl. The newsman said, "This is a video from her parents, Jason and Maria." They show the 2 people, the same people that own the house we were just in and killed them. In the video, the 2 said, "Whoever took her, if you're seeing this, please give us back our daughter. She's all we have, and we'll give you anything." Then the newsman said, "Here's pictures of the 2 suspects. They show the guy we saw the woman kill in the kitchen and the man we just freed." The newsman said, "They're both registered sex offenders. If you see them, report to the police immediately." Victor nearly threw up. What have we done? What the fuck have we done? What is it about spirits that we fear so much? That they'll harm us make us jump, that nobody will believe us. For my husband, it's what they can show us. I don't want to see. It was the first time I had ever heard him truly terrified. We were new to the area at the time, walking through a local park for the first time. After living in our previous apartment for so long, where the landlord had a strict no pets policy, we were seriously considering getting a dog. I asked about when we should go to the local dog shelter. That's when he said it. I don't want to see. He froze still, looking far ahead, past the horizon, beyond even any of the buildings past the park's edge. I tried to meet his eyes, but they stared right through me. I turned to find where his gaze lay, but saw nothing. Turning back, concerned and confused, I tried to get his attention. You don't want to see the dogs? Please. His voice now shaky, begging. Don't make me see. He turned and sprinted in the other direction in a straight line. As the pathway curved, he did not adjust his route, running straight onto the grass and climbing the fence, despite an open gate standing just 20 feet to the left. I ran after him, of course, even climbing the fence. When your partner makes a break for it like that, as if their life is in danger, you trust them. You assume they saw something that you hadn't spun. I was too afraid to turn around to see whoever was chasing us yet. As I landed the other side of the fence, he was already down the street. He hadn't helped me up, or down, or even waited on the other side. Did he care that little for my safety? Then he collapsed. The hospital staff were not helpful. A brain scan showed no signs of anything abnormal. They seemed to take my word that he didn't do any type of drugs. Although I'm sure in their many tests, quite a few of them made the realization or assumption maybe it's hallucinations. Your husband is perfectly healthy, the nurse told me. Just make sure he rests well and drinks enough water. Healthy? I looked at her with a scowl. Healthy. You think collapsing to the ground after a manic episode is healthy? Ma'am, I can only tell you what our tests show. We can prescribe certain medications, but we can't imagine it helping. The odds are that this was a strange one-off situation. Lack of sleep, lack of water, lack of any basic needs can cause this type of behavior. What do you think, honey? I asked my husband. I think we should go home. He didn't seem normal over the next week. He was never quite himself. He would still talk and help me with dinner, but between all those comments and moments, he felt hollow, never smiling or laughing. One moment in particular, we were watching a movie. I don't remember the name, just some random crap on the TV. But I got myself watching him more than the screen, analyzing every little movement of his face, willing him to do anything that makes him him. Through all the jokes, watching the corners of his mouth unmoving, not even a little bit, what was on his mind? Believe me, I asked him about the day at the park more times than I can count, and that was just on the drive home from the hospital, but he had very little answers for me. He just insisted that he saw something that he didn't want to be shown again. He turned to me. Sorry, I spoke. I was just looking at you. I smiled, hoping for him to return the gesture. He was silent. Why don't you smile anymore? My own smile faded. I miss it. His mouth opened, then closed slightly, like he had lost his train of thought. I don't want to see it. No, don't do that to me, please. I don't want to see it. No, don't you dare, don't. He started to get up. I tried to hold him, but he just backed away. He was staring at the living room door. Please don't make me see it. He turned and ran. He didn't let the window stop him. He just smashed through the glass and climbed outside as he ran down the street. I heard a tire skidding on the road as a car had to brake suddenly to avoid hitting him. I saw him run right through the garden across from us and down their side alley out of my sight. It was like he had to run in a perfectly straight line, escaping by the way the crows fly. Like a slight deviation from his path wasn't even considerable to him. This only got more frequent, with his mental well-being declining. Every time this happened, he came out of it more paranoid. I saw it again, he told me. Please don't let me see it again. I wanted to help him, but he would never explain to me what he saw, what he was running from. The weeks turned into months. He stopped talking much at all. I knew when he was about to have another episode from the sudden staring at an empty location. His escape was always preceded by a simple, I don't want to see it. 2 days ago, we were in the bathroom. It's important to note that our bathroom has no windows. It's in the center of the house, structurally speaking, so they wouldn't be able to lead anywhere. I just got my husband to brush his teeth after days of him hardly leaving the bedroom, but this was also the longest he had gone without running away for a while. As he finished washing his face, he looked into the mirror, then turned around, staring at the bathroom door. There's nothing there. I hugged him as I spoke, knowing that wouldn't stop him. I don't want to see it. Please don't make me see it again. I can't see it again. He started backing away into the wall. It was only then that I noticed he had no way out. He would never leave through the door, not if that's where he was staring. Without fail, every time he would run in the exact opposite of whatever he was staring at. I tried to take his hand. Come with me. Let's go out there. Come on, let's get out. I can't see it. I know, you don't have to. My voice was trembling now. I wanted to help him find a place to run. I was afraid of what he might do if he felt trapped. He was silent. He had usually ran by now. Come on, let's go to the bedroom, and you can run. No. He sounded so determined through his tears. I can't see it. He turned around, punching the wall. He didn't scream or flinch. The shriek echoing through the room was my own. He punched again, harder. I heard his bones crack. I will not see it. Blood marks were left on the wall where he threw his fist. Please stop, I cried, wanting my husband back. Please let me help you. He started to dent the wall. The paint flaked off in the area he was aiming, precise with his strikes. I could hardly see any more through my tears. But the blurry fury of red on the wall made me not want to see. As he started to collapse, he continued, slower with his knocks now, his body simply unable to keep the same momentum and energy that his hand wanted to avert. I'm about to see. A puddle of blood on the floor soaked into his clothes where he lay. I held him as tight as I could. Don't let me see it, he continued. I won't let anything happen to you. I'm not sure he understood me in his state, but I kept repeating it to him as his voice got quieter and quieter. He's in the hospital again now. He still hasn't woke up. I haven't returned home. I'm afraid of what I might see. In a little village, tucked away from the rest of the world, lived Nils, a doll maker. His home is up on a hill, completely isolated from everyone else. He creates dolls for those who have lost their friends and loved ones. An empty husk without a soul. There is a rumor that Nils once brought his wife back to life. Since he had dabbled in black magic, he broke the rules that were once taught to him by his master. When Nils brought her back to life, she was no longer herself. She had harmed many people, and thus he had to end her life a second time. Not wanting his apprentice to make the same mistake, he hid away the patchwork book in a drawer of his home. When Nils' apprentice took over for him since he was now retired, Nils warned Otto never to touch the patchwork book tucked away in his home, locked in the drawer. Since that book held black magic, Nils once used it selflessly. He instructed Otto to use the guidebook to create lifeless dolls to resemble someone's deceased family member or friend. It's nothing but bad luck, Nils warned his apprentice. And it will bring nothing but tragedy, he added, settling down to rest. Otto heeded his warning, only making dolls within reason and never bringing a person back to life. That was until the person he secretly loved in an accident that took his life. He rushed to that small house on the hill where Nils lived without thinking. Otto opened the locked drawer, which he was told not to take an old patchwork book. Opening the book, it explains how to bring someone back to life. They would no longer be human and would become living dolls. There would be grave consequences associated with their reincarnation. Pushing consequences aside, Otto got to work on bringing Kurt back to life. Gathering some of the materials was difficult, but he acquired them with some persuasion. Worried about his apprentice, Nils decided to check up on him. After all, the young man did lose the person he cared about. When he opened the door to Otto's workshop, he was not ready for what he was about to see. The scene before him was just like himself those years ago. His apprentice touched Kurt's face affectionately. The person who was supposed to be dead, who should have stayed dead. Kurt's grimaced, eyes opened, and he looked around. What have you done? Nils panicked, backing up to get out the door. His blood ran cold. Otis' emerald eyes were soon on him. What have I done? Oh, only bringing my boyfriend back to me. And wouldn't you know, you're just in time for dinner, isn't he, Kurt? Kurt's eyes were soon on the retired doll maker, who was frozen. Why wasn't he turning to Otto? when he had brought back his wife in the past, she had turned on him, and he had to end her by watching her die a second time. It's time to eat. The door to Otto's workshop closed, drawing out any screams that threatened to escape. Up on a hill, isolated from the rest of the village, a doll maker will make any doll you ask. Whether it be a family member, or a friend, or a partner, he'll even bring them back to life. However, there will be consequences if you don't follow the instructions as they are written. Just remember one important thing. It would be best if you always have plenty of flesh. Yeah, quick shower and I'll take off. Okay, bye. Amanda hangs up on the phone and drops on the bed. Her witch costume lies beside it. She slips out of her clothes and steps into the bathtub. The water is warm. Taking a drop of body wash, she rubs it all over herself. She's rubbing it along her face as the water shuts off. Amanda tries the knob, but it has no effect. She steps out of the shower and tries the sink. No water. Puzzled, she grabs a towel and attempts to wipe the soap away. The soap gets in her eyes, causing her to yelp. As she furiously rubs her eyes, the water turns back on. She turns towards the bathtub, vision blurred. Stepping closer, she bumps into something. Opens her eyes a bit to make out an obscured figure standing in front of her. Julie? Baby, is that you? Vision clearing up now, she makes out a feral woman wrapped in her shower curtain like a body bag, water hitting against her as she stands in the bathtub. Amanda thought it was a prank from her girlfriend, so she kept on asking, Julie, is that you? Amanda screams and falls over as she slips on the wet floor. The woman takes the pouring shower head and rips it off its hinges. It wasn't her girlfriend. Amanda crawls back on her feet and reaches for the door. Her hand grabs the handle, but the impact of the shower hitting her skull causes her to let go. The woman continues beating her brains in with the shower head as blood replaces the water on the floor.